All right, let's see if I can get both. We are live on both Facebook and Instagram, and I'm trying to get everything in the picture, but all right, that's probably fine. Okay. Hi. Okay, so tonight is a very sciencey version of Essential Oils 101. In the past, I haven't quite gone this in depth in terms of sort of the chemistry and the science involved in why essential oils work and how exactly they're produced and all that stuff. So bear with me. There's a lot of information this evening. I would highly suggest a notebook and pencil or types of notes or something, because there's a lot of info and I might go a little fast. And it's some really good information. So I've actually learned a lot in the process of sort of researching for this. So that's always fun. I really enjoy learning, particularly about natural means of just a natural lifestyle, obviously, and obviously essential oils. So, all right, I am going to get started. You've probably heard my why before, but if you haven't, then the reason that we kind of decided to make some switches in our family was, number one, my oldest daughter and she's now 10, daughter Maddie, can I speak? I have twins that are about to turn 5 at the end of the month, and then now I have a 14-month-old. So my oldest has always had skin irritation, and then we kind of tried some things that weren't so natural before I got into sort of doing natural things, and really none of it actually even helped that much. So we were always kind of looking for new solutions. And then when Delaney, who at that point was still kind of a baby, started breaking out all up her back and stuff, we were like, we need to kind of see what the deal is here. So I started researching things. Some other issues that we were having kind of were chronic headaches, some breathing issues, seasonal issues, tummy problems. There were some big emotions that we were dealing with, particularly with my oldest. And I have been known to have some emotions of my own that I kind of wanted to look for a more natural way to deal with, instead of loading more and more medications onto my regimen. I wanted to kind of strip them away. And I can't really talk too much in depth about that. I will pretty much share anything with you, though. We want to meet for coffee or chat via text or message. I can share more specifics with you, but I'm sort of limited as to what I can say by the FDA. We're threatenol because we have natural means of supporting our body systems. So, and then finally, our immunity was jacked. My daughter missed a ton of school, and it was not good. And it seemed like we were kind of getting every little bug that came our way, and Maddie in particular. And so something had to change. So we started doing research. I started realizing all of the toxic products that were in our home, and kind of tried to go about it on my own. And then I was kind of surprised to find, hold on a second, I hit something. I was kind of surprised to find that even some of the products that are marketed as more clean, they might be more clean than your typical products, but in terms of ratings, which I'll talk about in a second, they're really not as clean as you might think. So on the store shelves, obviously there's all of these harsh toxic chemicals. And, you know, some of the chemicals, you'd think like, oh, well, isn't there like some sort of governing body to protect us from all of this? Well, some of the chemicals that made it onto this list ultimately of like dangerous things, like some companies that had these ingredients in their products, they were sort of grandfathered in. So they didn't need to list them because these certain ingredients had been grandfathered in. So when you're reading the back of like a shampoo container and you can't even pronounce half of the things on there, just know that like that's not even everything that's there. And there's not a lot of regulation on ingredients, particularly like cosmetics. You know, we know there's like organic food governing like the FDA in terms of like food, what is organic, what can be labeled organic, what can be labeled non-GMO, etc. Way less so for cosmetics, personal care items. You know, even essential oils. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Not huge restrictions on what you can say, or what you're limited to say. So you can say something is therapeutic, you can say something is pure. You don't necessarily have to have a lot to back that up. And I will talk about why, because of that, Young Living was the choice for us. But I will get to that. So right now we're talking about all those toxic products on the shelves. One thing when we started kind of our like non-toxic journey was I got the Think Dirty app, and it was called the Skin Deep app then. Now it's the EWG, which is the Environmental Working Group. They're the ones that come out with the safe sunscreens every year, that list. It's now called their Healthy Living app. And they rate the ingredients that are in products. It's a 1 to 10 scale. 1 is good because it's more pure, so less of a concern. The scale is based on concern, so a high score is not good. It's a bad thing. So 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, 0 really being completely pure, where there are some ingredients that are considered that. And then it also rates the concern factor based on those ingredients for like the carcinogens, in terms of like what risk it is for causing cancer, what risk it is for reproductive kind of disturbance, as well as causing like developmental issues, that impact, and then also the potential for allergies. So those are the kind of the categories that each ingredient in each product is rated on. And then there's like an overall rating for each product. Now, some products aren't in there. It does get a little frustrating, but it kind of gives you kind of a jumping off point. You can actually they have like a scanner, and you can scan the SKUs on products. And if it's been scanned before, it'll pop up and tell you, this is a 7. And, it's up to you to decide like what your threshold is and what your criteria are for what comes into your home. We talk a lot about being the gatekeeper of your home. Like, you can't always be in charge of like everything that you come in contact with. Obviously, you leave the house, there's pollution outside, you go into buildings where they use cleaners and whatnot. But you are the gatekeeper of your home, so you need to decide what you're comfortable with. And obviously it's not just you. There's little ones that are far more vulnerable than us adults. So that's something to keep in mind. So I always say, look at the ingredient list. Look around your bathroom, look around your kitchen. Maybe you've already started your journey, so maybe you're a little bit more aware of what's good and what's bad. Like I said, some of the stuff I was like, oh, this is clean, and I scanned it and it's still a 7. And I was like, here, I think I'm, being empowered and making good choices, and maybe still I'm not. So every day, obviously, we put these products, there's cleaners, but we put like cosmetics on our skin, and our skin absorbs everything. I've talked before about like the nicotine patch. You put a nicotine patch on your skin, and your skin absorbs the nicotine or the medicine, and it gets into your blood. Same as anything, any cosmetic, any, like I said, we know that food affects us. We know that gets internal, pros and cons, depending on if we're putting good things into our body or bad things. Same with, deodorants and creams and makeup, all that stuff. So, it's not necessarily harmless. It's easy to say, smoking cigarettes is bad for us. That's pretty black and white. But, there is some gray area, and certainly a need kind of to educate yourself about, what's really, you're going to Target and purchasing this stuff. So you need to kind of be an educated consumer and an empowered consumer to make better choices for yourself and for your family. So let's get back to the shelf. So you go to Target. There's like 3,000 damaging chemicals that aren't even identified on labels. So these are ones that sort of have been grandfathered in or for whatever reason aren't listed. And this statistic is kind of amazing. The average woman applies over 300 chemicals a day to her body through soaps, makeup, shampoos, and hair products. Now, I think that sometimes people are misled. Chemicals aren't always a bad thing, right? I mean, essential oils are chemicals. They're naturally occurring chemicals. There's chemicals in food. What the issue is synthetic like chemicals that are in products and are having toxic levels of, things like carcinogens and, like I said, the reproductive kind of like disrupting chemicals. Those are the bad chemicals. So when I talk about like reducing the chemicals in your home, obviously there's chemicals all over the place. We're talking about the we're talking about the toxic chemicals that are having an impact on your health and your wellness. Basically, hold on, sorry. Okay. When we overload our bodies with these chemicals, we're developing symptoms. Like what kind of symptoms are we seeing? Like lethargy. I can't even say that word. Lethargy. Yeah. If you're lethargic, lethargy. You feel really run down. I know, like, I used to be like a dryer sheet queen, and like I had dryer sheets all over the house and Febrezed everything. I had like the Gain Febreze candles, and then I had like the scent boosters in the laundry, and then I had like the fabric spray and then the air freshener. Like, no wonder I was like exhausted and just like, I don't know, just not well, I guess. Because I was spraying these toxic chemicals all over the place. Like fragrance, I didn't know fragrance was harmful. The scent of essential oils isn't fragrance. It's the actual essence of the plant. It is the smell of the plant. Way different than someone that has, a chemical that has been derived in a laboratory to smell a certain way. Those are the ones that are going to be causing allergies and headaches. I had chronic headaches. I know probably a lot of women in particular, during their cycles and whatnot, suffer from headaches and migraines and all that stuff. And a lot of these chemicals are to blame for that. And again, we're getting them from just putting them on our skin. And that's something that we choose to do. It's not just like we're walking through the streets and inhaling the chemicals from, the cars or cleaners or whatever. This is something that we're doing to ourselves. The other things that these chemicals can cause are inflammation, which is, if you do any research on cancer, is like, basically like cancer is inflammation of the body, in specific areas. And really any like autoimmune issues, inflammation is always like key. So if you're already kind of prone to certain issues, and then you're introducing all these chemicals, it is, my mom's texting me. Mom, really, come on. You know I'm teaching a class. I've lost my train of thought. So sorry. Inflammation is bad. Okay, so a lot of these are causing, a lot of these toxic chemicals in kind of just everyday products are causing inflammation, sleep trouble, unexplained pain, skin issues. I was just talking about how we had skin irritation, stress, okay, and just like emotional responses to being exposed to chemicals, which is never good because I have enough emotional responses of my own without adding more chemicals to the mix. So, and like we talked about, long-term exposure, like if you put on some lotion like, you know, once a week, is it gonna give you cancer if it's got like a 10 rating? I don't know. But that's not really the issue. It's not the once in a while stuff. It's the repeated everyday application in your shampoo, your conditioner, your body soap, your deodorant, your makeup. When you're covering yourself in those toxic chemicals, you know, from head to toe, that's when it becomes the issue. All right. It's just like when you're eating, like if you're on a diet, like if you splurge one day, it's not going to make a huge difference. But if you splurge repeatedly, and if that just becomes your status quo, it's going to affect your health. Right? So same thing here. Little bits here and there, you know, again, you at some point need to decide what your threshold is as the gatekeeper of your home and, you know, as the parent to your children, etc. Long-term exposure can lead to cancer, like we said, reproductive issues, behavioral emotional issues, issues with immunity, breathing issues, asthma. Aerosol cans, horrible for that. And then allergic reactions. I used to walk down, I didn't even have to walk down the laundry aisle. I would get within 2 aisles of it and I would start sneezing from all of like the harsh detergents and the fabric softener. It is a huge cause of allergies. And I would bet, if some of those people out there that are just like ridden with allergies around this time of year, if you eliminated like dryer sheets and fabric softeners and these scent boosters and fragrance in general, that it would make a huge difference. Okay, so this is all stuff like even before we get to essential oils, things that we can be removing. Okay, we're going to talk about ditching and switching. So this is the ditching part of it. We'll talk about switching to, you know, safer alternatives in a minute. So I think a part of this is we don't think about these chemicals because we've kind of been exposed to them our whole lives. So we don't know any different. We don't know that, hey, these headaches that I'm having all the time maybe aren't normal. And then we tend to chase these symptoms with like other like over-the-counter medicines or other things. And then we're not preventing them, right? We're actually kind of causing more symptoms that then we have to chase with more things. And it kind of becomes this like perpetual cycle. So now we kind of get to supporting like our health sort of in a natural way. Okay, so I still see a doctor, all right? I had my kids in a hospital. You know, if we need to go into the doctor, we do. If we have strep, we go get antibiotics. However, if we have a little sore throat or if we have a little ear pain, you know, why should I be running to the doctor for every ache or pain and just having them kind of put a Band-Aid on it for what we're experiencing? Why am I doing that when I could be preventing a lot of things by looking at kind of our overall wellness, supporting our overall wellness, you know, really working on building up our immune system so we're not catching all of these things. And then, yes, you know, when you break a leg, I'm not going to like tell you to splint it with some essential oils because that won't work. You know, go get a cast. I mean, come on. I'm not that crazy of a hippie, guys. So there is moderation. So maybe you have some of these symptoms and you're wondering why your body is sort of suffering. Well, I'm going to talk about that. So again, there is a time and a place for medication. All right. I'm not a doctor, right? Not a doctor. I'm not an aromatherapist. My mom is actually getting her aromatherapy certification, however, but I am a mom, right? I've been a mom for over 10 years now. I have 4 kids, a decade of momming. So maybe I have a little experience in terms of dealing with kids, and health in general, my own like health and wellness. I do have a background in special education. So, you know, when we're talking about kind of like using oils or just working with kids in general, for like focus issues and behavioral emotional type things, this is all stuff that I sort of have like an educational background in terms of some of the areas of need that we're looking at support for. And then in terms of my like oily education, I have done hundreds of hours of research because that's just how I roll. Not only about essential oils, but also just health and wellness in general. And, you know, looking at natural immunity and natural ways of sort of dealing with certain things. You know, a lot of it is about preventing, and then maintaining, right, and supporting various areas of need when those things come up. But hopefully they'll come up less often if we are kind of laying the foundation of wellness. So we decided to stop the kind of the cycle of the unhealthiness with our family. And like I said, I'm the gatekeeper. And every time I say gatekeeper, I think about Ghostbusters. And I can't be the only one. Maybe some of you are too young, but like the gatekeeper and like, you know, that whole thing, maybe, I don't know. Anybody? Whatever. Okay, so I'm in charge, right, of what comes into my home, what goes into my kids' bodies, even when I'm dealing with doctors and my kids. You know, we are with our kids the most, and we are our children's advocates. So we get a say in what happens. You know, assert yourself, empower yourself. Oorah. Okay. So, because we don't have a lot of control over, you know, what a hospital cleans with, what a school cleans with, what our kids are being exposed to elsewhere. So I think it becomes more important for us to have control of that stuff in our home when we do have the ability to do that. So education is power, right? An informed and educated consumer is a smart consumer. So that's why we're here, right? To educate. So we're going to talk about supporting various systems of our body with essential oils so you can take control of your wellness and that of your family. And I really just want you to come away from this feeling like empowered that you can kind of build a sort of apothecary of support oils for, you know, whatever needs you have in your home. You know, what we have needed to use might be different from what your family looks like. We do have a variety of needs in our house though. So, and the great thing about joining my team with me is that we are super big on education and community in terms of having every resource available to you to succeed with wellness, to succeed with essential oils. So you don't have to feel overwhelmed. I think it can be super overwhelming because there's so many oils and you don't know where to start. Well, don't be, because we are here. All right, so I am going to give you a little disclaimer. Essential oils don't cure diseases, but they sure help our wellness and staying above the line of symptoms. So this wellness line that we talk about. So why do I host these classes all the time? Well, because everyone deserves to know an alternative for their health. I feel super passionate about it, right? I feel really grateful that I found this community of people that is like-minded like me, that, you know, doesn't want to throw medication at every single problem, that wants to really prevent things from happening rather than always reacting to them happening in terms of physical health and emotional health, etc. So I'm hoping that I can help you do the same. So all right, so why essential oils? So we talked about all these like toxic products. Why essential oils? So we know avoiding synthetic fragrance is one way to help yourself kind of with some of these issues. Because fragrance contains hormone disrupting chemicals that you know, can really just affect you in so many different ways. So 95% of body products actually contain synthetic fragrance, which is sort of alarming. And you might wonder, why are they allowed to sell these products to us? Well, they're cheap, right? And a lot of toxic chemicals, like I said before, have been grandfathered into the personal care system, okay? So really what you need to do is get rid of all the synthetic scents, okay? Candles, sorry guys. I told you, was a big candle burner. Not only is like the actual smoke from the candles not great, and like the burning of the wick, which unless it's like an organic like wick that has been like dipped properly in like organic beeswax, and I've made my own organic beeswax candles and that's fine, but unless that's the case, you're getting fumes from the actual wick burning, and then you're getting either like soy based, which isn't great, or just like horrible synthetic petroleum based products that are burning and you're inhaling them. It's no good. Same with wax burners. I'm sorry, I know there's some of you that are like big into your Scentsy like real perfumed things, and I'm sorry guys, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they're not good for so many reasons. The great thing about essential oils is they're only from plants, right? They're not created in a like a science lab that, you know, tinkering to like make a cheaper way of things smelling good, because it's not really good when you're smelling chemicals, synthetic chemicals. So, you know, we can diffuse essential oils, right? And kind of ditch the candles. And even if you're just looking at essential oils from like a aromatherapy standpoint, much healthier in terms of options. They can remove toxins from the air, but they can also help support emotional balance. So they're not just to smell good, right? They have therapeutic properties, right? So that's a good thing, right? Candles don't really help you with that. Sometimes because we do equate certain smells with certain like experiences, you know, a synthetic smell could be calming. I'm not saying like you're not, you know, you smell a candle that smells like your grandma's cookies, like you might have a positive reaction to that. However, over time, again, we're learning that it's not good for your health. So sorry, grandma's cookie candle, peace out. All right. What are essential oils? Okay. Good question. So they're the life force of the plant that they come from. They are much like the human blood, in that they help to regulate the various functions and promote the overall health of the plant. So they can help us similarly as they help themselves, so to speak. Actually, there's some, I think pretty much like all of the farms that grow the plants that we distill our oils from, they actually use essential oils instead of pesticides. So not only are we growing the essential oils to be packaged, they also use them in the process to like be a natural like insecticide without adding more chemicals to the mix, which synthetic chemicals bad, right? Like naturally occurring chemicals that God put in the earth, good, right? Okay, so as long as you're with me. Essential oils are distilled from the plant, right? Whether it's a shrub, a flower, a tree, a root, bushes, fruit, rinds, resins, herbs. Those are all plants that come together to make our collection of essential oils, and they are the essence of the plant, right? The essence, the smell, the essence of the plant. They're not essential oils because they're essential to us, though I could argue that they are. The essential comes from the essence of the plant. Okay, so oils consist of over 100 different natural organic compounds, and they are volatile. So what does that mean? It means that they evaporate quickly. And actually a really great way to test to see if an essential oil is pure is to take a piece of, I can't remember if it's printer paper or like notebook paper, just like plain paper, and put a drop of the actual essential oil on it. And it should evaporate, and there should be no like trace of the essential oil, because if it is completely pure, and that's what we want, it will evaporate because that's like a property of essential oil. So that's why we, I'll talk about this more later, but that's why we use carrier oils, because a carrier oil does not evaporate quite as quickly, and they kind of work together to stay on the skin longer, then get absorbed slower, and then used more efficiently and for a longer period of time. Okay, so how can essential oils help us? So they can provide support for all of our body systems, right? Skeletal, muscular, circulatory, digestive, endocrine. Talked a lot about how those toxic chemicals can really be endocrine disruptors, which is no good. Hormones, all that stuff, not good. Can support our respiratory system, reproductive system, our lymphatic system, which is our like immunity, integumentary, our skin, exocrine system, and then our renal, and then our nervous system. So they support the brain, and brain health, I'm sorry, and can play a huge role in emotional support. So I know a lot of people maybe start out with the whole like green clean thing, and that's how they get into oils, and they start to see the emotional benefits of some of the oils in terms of the support that they can provide, and then it just snowballs from there, and they realize, wow, I can support so many like systems of my body, so many areas that need attention, in terms of preventing and then also maintaining and then supporting when there are issues, and there's not 1,000 like scary chemicals that are involved in that. So an oil in a diffuser. So when we talk about essential oils, they can be used in 3 different ways. So we can ingest, we can use them aromatically, so like inhale, whether it's with a diffuser, or just smelling from the bottle, putting in your hands and smelling, putting on a diffuser bracelet and smelling, or you can apply topically, which I talked about, the volatility of the oil, and using then a carrier oil to help with that. So those are the 3 ways to use essential oils. It's really not all that complicated. Probably the easiest is just literally opening the bottle and smelling it, or using a diffuser. An oil in a diffuser can soothe a child, right? Where, there's that time of day where they get a little kooky. It can provide a calming effect after a long day, promote a restful night's sleep, clean the air in your home. So we talked about it being an alternative to toxic cleaning and personal care products, which can really help you prevent a lot of issues. And really you can swap every chemical in your home for like a greener, cleaner option. And surprisingly effective options, right? So we use Thieves Household Cleaner on everything. And it's kind of nice because I have like a bottle of the concentrate, and then we have a couple like spray bottles that have different strengths than like in terms of dilution of the cleaner, and we use it everywhere. I even use the concentrate as like a stain remover stick and like an alternate like jet dry product, you name it. Okay, so those are all infused with essential oils. So those are all products, you know, that we've ditched and switched. There are about 300 oils on the earth, which can be a little overwhelming. And that's why at Young Living, with our premium starter kit, we start with 11 oils, 11 of the most common oils. So it's not so overwhelming. And you don't have to be like an aromatherapist or even really that like knowledgeable on oils to start, because once you get your kit, you're going to receive that education. And some people learn better by just having it in front of them and, you know, smelling the oils and seeing what they like. And some people are better off like researching things and finding that kind of basis before they start. And we are here in any capacity that you need us. So we talked about the ways to use oils. Okay, so how long do they enter? How long does it take for them to enter our body, and how long do they last? So tests have shown that oils reach the heart, liver, and thyroid in 3 seconds when inhaled. 3 seconds. Talk about instant. Okay, not a second. Sorry, not instant. 3 seconds. Okay, they are found in the bloodstream in 26 seconds when applied topically. Okay, think about that. And then they are found in every cell of the body in 22 minutes. Okay, so these are powerful. These are effective. They're not just like smelly things, right? They're powerful plant-derived like products, and it takes about 3 to 6 hours in a normal healthy body for you to expel essential oils. So the best way to use essential oils is small, consistent doses, you know, throughout the day. So small, frequent, consistent doses. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the history of essential oils. Some people are like, oh, this is a fad, you know, it's like one of those, you know, one of those fad diets, it's gonna fade away, it's like this new thing, you know. Not a new thing at all. Essential oils date back to Egyptian hieroglyphics that were drawn over 5,000 years ago. So not a new thing, not a fad. Some fun facts. So in 3200 BC, so like way before Jesus and, you know, the whole manger and the frankincense and myrrh, the Egyptians used resins such as frankincense and myrrh as part of embalming. So, you know, if you maybe we'll start a new trend where we'll start like doing like the Egyptians did back in the day and mummifying ourselves, or not. I want to like be scattered everywhere, but that's really morbid. Anyways, okay, Katie. In 1975, in the Indus Valley Civilization, they found a primitive still that dated back to the Bronze Age, which was 3000 BC. Okay, so these are all like, you know, 5,000 plus years ago. Hippocrates used essential oils in his treatments, right? So again, not a fad. There are hundreds of references to the use of essential oils in the Old and the New Testament. Young Living actually has like a biblical oils collection, all of the ones that have been mentioned in terms of healing, and use in the Bible. So once again, not a fad, right? History. Okay. Thieves oil. So the reason they call thieves oil is because during the bubonic plague, apothecaries, which were the physicians back then, figured out how to protect themselves against getting sick with oils and herbs. And then the reason they call thieves is because actual grave robbers would use these concoctions to steal, which is lovely, like valuables that were buried with the people that died of the plague, and they were able to steal these and then not get sick. So that's why it's called thieves oil. It's kind of not the greatest story, but it's true. So food for thought. And then, so after World War II, essential oils were rediscovered, and the science on their uses grows with every single year. So we have quite a bit of research now about how essential oils can benefit you. There was an article about recently about vetiver and how inhaling it a certain amount of times a day can be super, super good for, I can't name the actual diagnosis, but you can look up the article, but can be super beneficial for focus and attending, as well as calming. So there is science to back it up. So speaking of science, well, first of all, do essential oils work? In short, yes. They've worked for us. They've worked for many people that I know. And they can work for you too. You do need to be consistent. You know, you can't like try an oil once and it's not going to like work like a miracle with like one inhalation of frankincense. You have to do those frequent and like small, frequent, consistent doses to see the impact. But yes, we started using them and we went chemical free. We trying to rid our bodies of the effects of the toxins. And we have seen a difference. So they do work and they can work. I talked about how we had some skin irritation. We have made a lot of our own creams with essential oils, and things like carrier oils, like certain coconut oil, and then shea butters, coconut butter, stuff like that. And minimal ingredients, using essential oils that are therapeutic, and then none of those toxins that are seeping into our skin or even just like causing additional irritation on the skin. And my kids have gotten a lot of relief from their skin issues with these sort of products that we've made ourselves and saved some money with our essential oils. Oh man. Okay. I thought I lost my live there for a second. Okay. So we talked about big feelings as well. I have some daughters with some big feelings, and I have some big feelings of my own. And oils have been super helpful for us in that capacity. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the science behind that in a minute. So one thing about oils is that they have their own frequencies, as does the body. So certain oils, because of their frequency, are going to work better with certain people because of their frequency. And sometimes it's not like the first one you try is going to work. There might be a little bit of like kind of like guess and check type, like, okay, well, this one can help in this area of need for support. So, let's try this one. It may or may not work at first, depends on your body chemistry and all that good stuff. So you do have to be patient. But really, like, it really has impacted our lives. And I know it can really help. It just, you have to kind of be honest and evaluate, like, where are these areas of need, and like, that's why you have this oily team to help you to kind of address the different issues that you find to be a problem in your life and your kids' lives and your husband's lives and wives' lives or whatever. So, okay, they're, you kind of have to think of the oils working in harmony. So like in terms of the frequencies, and then, you know, kind of addressing the issue that way. I do believe there is an oil for everything. Like I said, we still go to the doctor, but our first choice is to support our systems at home. So I wish I could tell you more about that and not be super vague, but I can't. So PM me and we'll chat about more specifics, because the FDA says I can't say that right now. So I love this. So we call the oils in our group magical unicorn tears. You know, again, they're not magical unicorn tears, although they seem that way. You know, you can't just like throw some oils at something and like everything's going to be okay. This is like a tool, right? A tool to achieve wellness. It's not going to fix everything. You still have to do some amount of work in terms of, you know, controlling your emotions and, you know, putting healthy things into your body aside from oils and stuff like that. So, my husband was a skeptic, so I get all you skeptics, but I will change your mind, I promise. So they work, yes. Okay. Witchcraft? No, not witchcraft. I gave you the history, let's talk about the science. Okay, so the main groups of compounds in essential oils. There are two main groups of essential oil constituents that define the chemistry of an essential oil. There are hydrocarbons and oxygenated compounds. Okay, so then those are further divided into subgroups, three of which I'm going to talk about right now. Okay, so there's monoterpenes, and they are present in almost all essential oils. And according to the reference guide to essential oils, the action that they do is to inhibit the accumulation of toxins. Talked about that, why that's important. Toxins are not good for your body. You know, we are like natural, organic people. You throw synthetic things at our body doesn't know what to do with those. Your body knows what to do with essential oils. They are also organic in that they are part of the earth. They're from plants, okay? The action of the monoterpene is to inhibit the accumulation of those toxins. They also enhance the therapeutic value of other components and are the sort of the balancing force portion of the oil. And they can restore the correct information in the DNA of the cell once the sesquiterpenes, which we'll talk about, and phenolics have done their job, which I'll talk about right now. Okay, so sesquiterpenes, it's a hard word. I pronounced it right. Go, Katie. They delete bad information in cellular memory. Okay, so they are larger than monoterpenes. They are very viscous. They are less volatile. We talked about what volatility meant in terms of evaporation. So they're often used as fixatives in the perfume industry. These are sesquiterpenes, or oils. There's certain oils that are higher in sesquiterpenes than others, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Viscous oils have a longer half-life and blend well with lighter, more volatile oils. Okay, so some oils contain sesquiterpenes. Frankincense, for example, is high in sesquiterpenes, and these constituents of the essential oil can be super beneficial because they can actually penetrate through the blood-brain barrier, which you may have heard of before, and can intervene in certain neurological issues. Okay, so I just watched this video. I'm going to try to recreate what this lady said. I'll probably not do her justice, and I'll have to link the video because she's super smart, and I'm just a poser, but whatever. Posers, do we say that anymore? Probably not. Oh, the 80s, or maybe that was the 90s. Whatever. Okay, so this is your brain, right? You have the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain, and in the middle is the limbic system, and the amygdala is stored there. All right, so the upstairs of the brain is responsible for rational thought and logic, right? the bottom, the downstairs, protects us essentially, okay? So it's your instinctual reactions to things in your environment, fight or flight, all that stuff. So the amygdala's version is to sort of fire these messages throughout the brain. Okay, so you have a sensory experience. You hear a loud boom, right? Your amygdala fires, the upstairs brain, basically your lid is flipped, right? And when that happens, rational thought that functions up here cannot occur because you're in that fight or flight sort of response, that reaction, right? And this is all scientifically because we need to, like, you know, go on as a species and, you know, not die off. And it's in our best interest to survive, right? And so we go into fight or flight. So when that happens, we don't have access to this rational thought, right? Until the amygdala can be calmed. So oils that are high in sesquiterpenes can penetrate the blood-brain barrier in the limbic system here and can calm the amygdala, right? And then this can kind of close up. And then we can go back to thinking rationally, okay? So that's sort of the science behind why essential oils can be so effective. Ones that are high in sesquiterpenes, particularly for calming emotions. They have this calming effect. They can actually reprogram traumatic memory. In 1994, it was documented in medical communities in Germany and Austria that sesquiterpenes such as frankincense and sandalwood can go beyond this barrier. Not only can they penetrate through, they can help increase oxygen to the limbic system of the brain. This then leads to secretions of antibodies, endorphins, and neurotransmitters, which we know, you know, if you're, well, like antibodies are great for sort of healing, right? And then endorphins, they give us sort of that rush. And then, so basically, when you're in this flight or fight sort of like hyped up response, these oils are going to be calming, right? They're going to like sort of bring you down to like a normal functioning level where you can be more rational. So a kid that's having a tantrum comes down to a level where then maybe you can reason with them and find out, why is this kid tantruming? Like, what led to that? They can't, once they're like mid tantrum, they're not going to tell you what's wrong. You know, I have a hard time telling someone what's wrong when I'm all amped up, right? Maybe you can relate. It takes our brain, your brain needs to calm down before you can communicate that information and be rational and be reasonable in terms of communication or anything. So oils, like I said, like frankincense, sandalwood, cedarwood, stress away, which is in the kit, white angelica, frankincense is also in the kit, are all ones that are high in these sesquiterpenes, which are really great for calming. The other constituent of the oils that I'll talk about is Fennel Iks, and they are stimulating to the nervous system and to the immune system. They clean receptor sites of cells so that these sesquiterpenes can delete faulty information from the cell. And that's sort of that reprogramming of these traumas and sort of like the functioning of the cell is sick. And so the Fennel Iks allow the sesquiterpenes to go in and then delete that faulty information and sort of reprogram it. That leads to that sort of calming and like the reason and the rational thought. And they also have antioxidant properties and high levels of oxygenating molecules, which we know antioxidants are great in terms of preventing certain things, and oxygenated cells are always a good thing. So, and so those three constituents of essential oils are part of what gives essential oils their therapeutic properties, especially like I just talked about in terms of like calming and mood. We talked about immunity, and you know, it goes way beyond that. But in terms of a 101 class, that is what we're going to talk about behind the science. Okay, so that sort of, we talked about why essential oils. Now why Young Living? So obviously there's a ton of essential oil companies out there. Stuff you can buy in the grocery store, stuff you can buy online. There's other companies similar to Young Living. So what's the difference? All right, there's 4 categories of essential oils. Grade A is therapeutic, made from organically grown plants and distilled at low temperatures. And I don't know what that's saying. The essential oil, I'm sorry, I have this list and now I can't understand what I wrote, but whatever. So grade A. Grade B are oils that are food grade, but may contain synthetics, pesticides, fertilizers, chemical extenders, or carrier oils. So here we're trying to make a natural, like healthy choice. Not so much when there's synthetics and pesticides involved that are going to add to our symptoms already, right? Grade C are oils that are perfume oils that contain adulterating chemicals. They usually use solvents such as hexane to gain a higher yield of oil per harvest, which is never good. Solvents can be cancerous, and in many store-bought oils, that is what you find. And oftentimes they are diluted up to 80 to 95%. With alcohol often. So I'll get to this, but a lot of people are like, why is Young Living so expensive? Well, because we don't have pesticides in our oils. We don't have other fillers and alcohol. And unless it's a certain blend that is already diluted for a reason, we don't dilute our oils, right? So like the single oils are not diluted. There are a few blends that for ease of use or effectiveness are diluted, but that is listed on the bottle. Okay, it's not just so that we can, like, I don't know, throw one over on you or whatever the term is. Okay, so that was C. Grade D oils are called Floral Water, which are they're only for aromatic use, and it's usually a byproduct of grade A distillation. After the oil is pulled out, the leftover trash water is sold to companies which fill 5% of the bottle with this leftover product, and then fill the rest with carriers and label it pure. So I'm going to talk, like I said, about why they're more expensive. But the problem with, we talked about this before, is when there's not like a huge governing board or there's not a lot of regulation as to what you can say. You know, an organically grown oil of one brand and then like a conventionally grown bottle of the same brand, both can say pure, right? They're both saying they're a pure oil. So that doesn't necessarily tell you anything, okay? Obviously you'd want your oil to be pure, but you're going to need to go a little bit deeper. So when we talk about our seed to sale promise, you know, it's literally going from the ground being prepared and never having had any sort of pesticides in it. You know, it's organic, like soil, all the way up to putting the label on the bottle is all overseen by Young Living. Okay, it's not, nothing is like contracted out. There's certain oil companies that, you know, they don't grow the plants. They buy the plants and then they distill them, or they buy oils already distilled and then they make their blend. So they're not in charge of the process from seed to seal. Young Living is, and that is important to me because here I'm trying to make better choices. I don't want to just, like, you know, go down a road because I think it's healthier and then find out that it's not. And okay, so my Instagram video is about to end. So Instagram people, I'm so sorry that I keep talking too much, but I don't know, message me if you have any more questions before I cut out. But Facebook people, I have a little bit left to go. So, okay, so grade A is the only true pure oil. Again, if it says pure, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but knowing the growing practices is really what's most important. and for Young Living, they were completely transparent. You can literally go to their lavender fields, even if you're not a member of Young Living, and watch the growing practices. Completely transparent, because there's nothing to hide. They, like I said, they use their own oils as ways of keeping bugs away and, you know, nurturing their plants. And it's an extensive process. And it's worth it. It's worth it. And that costs money. But the purity is unmatched, and that's important. Grade D, if you bought a grade D oil, it would be like walking into your fridge, taking a glass of orange juice, diluting it by 95%. So like 95% water, 5% juice, and drinking it. You wouldn't have the full benefits of the orange juice, right? The vitamin C is watered down. And it's the same thing with oils, right? You want the therapeutic properties of the oils. You don't want them to be watered down. So I think it's important, even if you don't choose Young Living, or you want to research other oil companies, find out, do they grow their own plants, right? Do they own their own farms? Are they in charge of the actual ground before the plants go into them in terms of what chemicals, if any, were used? You know, are they overseeing the whole process? That's important, right? Because if you're not overseeing the whole process, it's, you know, you're not really sure. If there's too many kind of cooks, like in the kitchen, is not a good thing. You want consistency. You want accountability and transparency. Young Living's oils are all grade A. That kind of goes without saying. You know, no pesticides are used, or no synthetic pesticides are used. And again, like, you're going the extra step here, right, to sort of prevent certain things and support your family's health naturally. You don't want to then junk it up with like essential oils that are laden with chemicals. That's just sort of like, why even focus on wellness then, right? Okay, so Seed to Seal, there is a website that you can learn more about Seed to Seal if you would like to. That was a big seller for me. It's a promise of integrity. And actually, each plant is hand weeded, right? Because there's no pesticides used. There's no chemicals, no weed killers. The plants are all harvested at their peak and distilled actually in Young Living's top distillery when they're located at their farms. They're put through a rigorous testing process. There's no third party, right? And like I said, check out seedtoseal.com for more information about that. And if you're in Utah, stop by a lavender farm. I'm jealous. I want to go. All right, so that gets us to, why do other oil companies sell for less? Why is it so expensive? Well, they sell for less to save money, okay? Because they can save money by spraying crops with pesticides, because then they will have more crop to distill. You know, if you use a chemical solvent to extract the oil rather than a natural distilling process, you pull more out, okay? So there's more oil. You know, you're saving money, you're making more money, possibly in the end, because you're pushing out more product. It's not pure, but you're pushing out more product. You can also, you know, some companies also dilute with, like I said, with cheaper oil or carrier oil to stretch out the oil. You know, and maybe that's why it's cheaper. And then sometimes companies will harvest more often than is actually beneficial for the plant. And then you get more oil, but it's not sustainable. And that way, you know, you're putting out more product, but in terms of the sustainability and actually then the potency and the therapeutic grade of the oil is compromised. Most essential oils are sold for less because companies can cut corners, because again, there aren't a ton of rules. Okay. So again, if you're going to go all in for this wellness thing, you really want to be doing it with a product that you know is what you're expecting, right? So you don't want to buy your oil. Like some people have bought actually Young Living oils on Amazon. I have a chart on how to spot a fake. Okay. A lot of people they will add things to the bottle and then sell it and say it's Young Living, and it may have been tampered with. So I don't suggest doing that. What else did I not touch on? Okay. Oh, so another thing. So when you go to the grocery store and you want to buy buy some organic chicken, you buy organic chicken because you know that it wasn't raised with any sort of, antibiotics. It wasn't pumped full of like steroids or whatever. It wasn't genetically modified. The feed that was given to the chickens was organic. All of these things, maybe cost more money because, the chickens aren't like cramped in. Like, I don't know if you've seen videos, but like literally they don't like leave like a 2-inch radius. It's going to cost more to raise chickens that way. And that is going to be transferred into the price of the chicken you buy at the store. Okay. However, we know that it's healthier because it wasn't, the chicken weren't raised on pesticide-laden food, and they weren't injected with chemicals and whatnot, okay? But again, we would pay more money for that because of the cleanliness or the purity. Same thing with oils. The great thing about Young Living is they're highly concentrated. So while it might seem like they are super expensive, and don't get me wrong, I get that some of them, there's some that are more reasonable and some that are expensive, but part of that is because they're so concentrated and they are so pure, and the therapeutic value is so great that, the reason that they cost more, or the reason that other companies' oils cost less, is because they aren't at that level of purity or that level of therapeutic value, etc. So there's a reason for it. Okay, so when we look at how oils are made, this also speaks to the price. So it takes a great deal of work to produce a tiny bottle of oil. So this is the 15 milliliter bottle. This is a 5 milliliter bottle. There is about 90 drops in the smaller 5 milliliter bottle. And where's my list? About 270 drops in the larger bottle. Okay, so for instance, it takes 60,000 rose blossoms to provide only 1 ounce of rose oil. Rose oil is super expensive, but because it takes 60,000 rose blossoms to make 1 ounce of rose oil. Okay, 1 ounce. Okay, lavender is abundant. Okay, but 220 pounds will provide only 7 pounds of oil. Jasmine flowers must be picked by hand before the sun becomes hot on the very first day they open. Okay, so that's like some pretty strict criteria there, thus making it one of the most expensive oils in the world. It takes 8 million hand-picked blossoms to produce 2.2 pounds of oil, of jasmine oil. Okay, a sandalwood tree must be 30 years old and 30 feet high before it can be cut down for distillation. And these are all like best practices, and Young Living follows them because they want the best product for you. And that's what you should want too. It takes 3 weeks. People wonder why frankincense is so expensive, but it's in the starter kit, which is an amazing deal. P.S. It takes 3 weeks to extract the resin from frankincense, and it's done by hand. So just the actual extraction of the resin from the frankincense, like, I think it's a shrub or a bush. I think it depends on exactly what species. And it's done by hand. So that would be why it's expensive, right? But we talked about it being super concentrated, and it's really amazing that a little goes a long way. And that's kind of where carrier oils can come in. And then also mixing, you can make a blend that has, 2 drops of frankincense and then 4 drops of lavender, because maybe lavender is a little more reasonable. But you still then have the therapeutic value of the frankincense in addition to the lavender. So most of the oils are $10 to $30 a bottle. Okay, so like I said, there are some reasonably priced oils. There's a lot of like lemon is super cheap, lime. These are ones I use in cooking all the time. The Vitality oils, you know, the smaller bottles. Like I said, the number of drops in each bottle. Each application is 1 to 3 drops. So a 5 milliliter bottle with 90 drops can last quite a bit of time. You know, even with that small bottle, you'll get 45 to 90 applications. So when you break it down, and I've seen charts where it actually like goes, it talks about like the price per drop. You know, yeah, you don't want to like use a whole bottle of oil at once. Definitely. You wouldn't need to. So, but like Thieves Cleaner, for instance, it's made only of plants and it costs 55 cents a bottle to make. And that's if you make, so you'll make 40 16-ounce bottles per container. So that's, I think that's of the smaller bottle of Thieves. So 55 cents for a 16-ounce bottle, and one bottle will give you 40 of those. So when you start looking at that and seeing how concentrated the products are, and then you can dilute them, it's nice because here you're getting a concentrated bottle of something. You're paying for shipping. You're not paying for them to ship you water, something that's already heavily diluted. You're not paying for the extra packaging. You're not having that extra packaging that's then going into a landfill, which helps the carbon footprint. And that's something we really haven't even talked about yet in terms of like just impact on environment. We're more talking about impact on us as human beings. But the environment also is important. So, you know, it's again, not as expensive as it might seem. And we've done a lot of transfer buying, so that's why I love Essential Rewards. We've done our toothpaste and different cleaners and stuff like that because you're earning points, so that's also saving money on things that I had to buy anyways, and now here I'm buying cleaner options that are highly concentrated that I can dilute. And not only am I washing my hair, but I get the therapeutic value of the oils that are involved. It's a win-win. So, are they safe? Isn't that like a loaded, everyone asks this question. They're like, oh, like lavender, I heard it grows boobs on boys. Well, it does not. I'm not going to go like into too much detail, but the studies that they referenced were like ridiculous. Anyone that knows anything about like scientific experiments would know by looking at it, like the sample size that they used was far too small, and the amount and actually the purity of the oils was not even close to what we're talking about here in terms of Young Living oils. And there was like 10 other things that like made the study totally incredible. So totally not credible, not incredible, like woohoo, but like it was not credible. All right. So lavender's not going to give you boobs, boys. Also, if lavender gave people boobs, like wouldn't we be millionaires? Like everyone would be just rubbing lavender all over themselves. I'm going to like kick over my computer. Sorry. Okay. So, are they safe? Let's talk about certain properties of oils. Like so a lot of oils, a lot of citrus oils are photosensitive. Okay. So, before I start with that, are they safe? Common sense, people. Don't drink a whole bottle of oil. Don't put oils in your eyes. Use one oil at a time in the beginning to see if you have any sort of reactions, just like you would do with a new food, just like you would do with a new medicine. Okay, it's not any different. Just because they're natural, we don't need to be like scared. Also, you have a team and a community of people to help you through it, okay? But, so certain oils are photosensitive. Many citrus oils are, meaning you don't want to wear them and go outside, particularly in the sun, because you'll get your skin burned, and that's not good. When you start using it on your skin, you want to observe, like I said, watch for redness, dilute with a carrier oil, be aware, use common sense. I have so much faith in you guys that you can probably make an educated choice. Dilute oils on children. I did do a whole class on using oils with children that you can reference for that because their skin is more permeable and it absorbs oils more quickly. We know they're more vulnerable because they're kids. And like I said, I did do a class where I talked more about the specifics of the different kinds of carrier oils and which one to use based on your skin tone, or not skin tone, your skin texture. And you can probably reference that for more specifics on that. But a carrier oil in general is a fatty oil, and its molecules are much larger than that of essential oils. And using a carrier oil with an essential oil slows down the rate the body absorbs the essential oil because it has to go through the large molecules of the carrier oil to get to your skin. And also we talked about how essential oils are volatile and they evaporate quickly, whereas carrier oils do not. We talked about that. If you are placing something near your eye, or I have a head tension roller, just be careful that nothing drips. You can use a Q-tip maybe for like more precise application in that area. There are hot oils, so peppermint actually feels more cooling than anything, but it does have like that sensation that some people don't like. I dig it, especially when you have head tension and you put it on your neck and your head, and it's just lovely. But you might want to use a carrier oil initially with that. Thieves, also oregano is super strong. You always want to use a carrier oil for that, like 99.9% of the time, unless you're like purposely burning something off like a wart, but I may or may not know anything about that. PM me. Better than anything in the store. And you can become desensitized to an oil if you use the same one day in, day out. So you want to rotate your oils. Like I talked about, there's usually several oils, like for calming, for instance, and you can kind of switch them up and kind of see, like, you know, what we talked about, the frequencies, like what your body responds to, but then kind of have like a few in your arsenal that you can sort of rotate. I touched briefly on internal use of essential oils. So there is a lot of controversy on this. Some people say not to ingest them. The reason for that is that most oil companies, like we've talked about, don't carry like the level of purity, oils of the level of purity that Young Living does. And they don't carry any that are GRAS, which is generally regarded as safe essential oils, which have then been cleared by the FDA in terms of ingestion. And a lot of people's like judgment is basically based on, you know, well, what if someone then ingests a whole bottle? Well, don't ingest a whole bottle like we talked about, right? High doses, you know, when we're saying use 1 or 2 drops, that's what we mean. Just like if you took medication, you're not going to take 8 times the recommended amount. I mean, it's not safe. That's common sense, right? We know this. Again, we're smart people, right? We're educated. We can make good choices. So there's the British, the French, and the German kind of like schools of thought in terms of oils. And we use like kind of go with all 3 of those. And the French are the ones that I've sort of like talked about the dietary, like the positive dietary effects in terms of using oils internally. And so that's what we go with for that. If you're not comfortable doing it, fine. You can apply it to your skin. You can inhale it. No biggie. I personally enjoy lemon in my water. Digize and peppermint are my jam when I eat too much. And I think there's some really great benefits of ingesting them, but you don't have to. Can't remember if I talked about the Vitality line, but when in Young Living, when we talk about ingesting oils, we always have to show these like white labeled oils here. They are exactly the same as the other oils. Like for instance, this is peppermint Vitality, and this is peppermint essential oil. They are absolutely identical on the inside. The only difference is the label. When we talk about using for aromatic purposes and topical use, we show this. When we talk about using oils internally and ingesting them for dietary purposes, we do this. They're the same. Really, just the label is different, and that's just an FDA thing. That's how to be compliant. And if I tiptoe around things and am vague, that's also being compliant, because I love my job and I don't want to lose it. So, okay. The premium starter kit kind of brings me to that. I know I did like a whole presentation on that earlier that you can go and reference. But just kind of before we leave for the evening, I just want to talk a little bit. So I started my like non-toxic journey with my family like 3-4 years ago. And at that point, we did start using some essential oils. We started with Young Living. I've talked about how when we left the nest, we were living with my parents at the time when the twins had just been born. When we left the nest, it was like, oh, well, now I have to buy my oils. I'll buy them at the health food store or Amazon or wherever. And then started to realize, well, these really aren't as effective. And I'm using way more and having like not even the same impact. So, you know, it kind of took me a while and I was like, okay, but it's an investment, you know, the starter kit. It's $160. I think that when I bought it, though, I did get, there was a discount at the time. And I'm actually doing a discount right now where if you purchase any premium starter kit, you can get $15 back from me. And so then it's about $145 with, and then plus tax and shipping. And so we bought our kit. I bought my kit. It was like our anniversary Christmas birthday present because they're all within like 3 weeks, back in December. My birthday's in January, but we got married like 3 days before Christmas. So this was my present and sort of just was like, I'm just going to do it. And I joined on with one of my twin mom friends, and it was one of the best choices we ever made. And I kind of went in gung-ho because I had already used Young Living oils and I knew how great they were. And within a month, I was like, oh yeah, that's why I like these so much. And I want to tell other people about it. We've been super healthy, been supporting those big emotions left and right. And it's been really great for us. So I highly recommend the starter kit. It's a really great way to jump in. Even, you know, I had experience with oils, but I didn't have any really nice diffusers. The diffuser from Young Living is super nice. That's the wrong way. And there we go. Okay. So that one runs up to 11 hours, which is really nice overnight. And that's on intermittent. And with your kit, you get the 11 oils, you get the community, the education. And really when you look at the value of the kit and you kind of add up the oils individually, you're essentially getting the items in the kit for half off. So it's like just about 50% off. I have a chart that sort of lists all the prices that the factors in the oils, the diffuser. There's a Thieves household cleaner sample. There's Ningxia Red samples, which is a supplement that's super high in antioxidants. There's some sample bottles and certain things in there. Membership in terms of like all the value of that. And then compared to the actual price of the kit, it's like 50% off. So plus you get my $15 back if you purchase this month. So it is the best bang for your buck if you want to dive into oils, particularly if you don't have a diffuser or you don't have like a really nice diffuser or if you want another diffuser. And again, these are like 11 of the most common oils that can be used for so many different things. So don't ever feel like, oh, but I don't know like what half those oils are and what would I do with them. That's where the education comes in. And I promise you will not be disappointed. And I went through the starter kit earlier, so I don't really need to go through that now. Okay, so while we wrap up, the reason that I teach so passionately about this is because because the toxic-free living is so important to me. And I've seen the other end of it. I've seen that sort of toxic chemical-filled lifestyle. And I've seen, the effects of making that switch for our lives. And I'd really like that for my friends and family as well. In terms of your wellness, our family is pretty proud. My kids are like little minions. They're like, how can we get oils into your life, people? And my daughter told my mom the other day that her toothpaste was poison. So I guess I'm doing my job. I'm really passionate about helping you kind of pursue a cleaner lifestyle. I am not perfect, okay? I am the first to admit that I struggle with, I've talked about how I struggle with like the clean eating, and I've struggled with my weight, and you are not expected to be perfect by any means. I mean, this isn't about perfection. This is about progress, about some baby steps that you can take initially, and then it sort of like snowballs and you get more educated and more aware of other things that are in other products that you buy or foods that you buy. And it's sort of just like, it's a process. It's a journey. It's not like all at once. That's way too overwhelming. And that is not my intention here. My intention is to sort of support you in making small steps that can make a difference. So think about kind of what wellness means to you. What would wellness look like for you and your family? Also, what areas do you want to address? Like what can I help you, like in terms of, areas of need that can be supported? Like I said, we've kind of dealt with a lot of things, so I can be of help. And if it's not something I've experienced, then we have like literally 4,500 people on on our big team that is underneath our higher up line, and then there's smaller groups too, all of people that have dealt with a variety of different issues, most likely something that you're also dealing with. So that's about it. I'd really like you guys to ask me any questions that you have. PM me. You can comment on this video. Sign up is super easy if you want to get a kit. You can certainly buy like individual oils from me. The only issue is that they're at retail price, and when you're a member, you have wholesale prices, which is 24% off. So really, what I recommend is going for the kit because of the value of the kit, and then you have access to wholesale prices. There's no like monthly fees or anything. You have to place total of a $50 order every year to maintain your wholesale status, but there's no fees. You're buying $50 worth of product. And I can do that times 4 in a month. So, and maybe more, but again, we're buying laundry detergent and dish soap and shampoo and conditioner, and that adds up quickly when you're buying at the store anyway. So Target gives you 5% off. This gives you, I'm now getting 20% back on things that I buy with Essential Rewards. So if you have questions about Essential Rewards, also you can ask me. I think that's about it. Let me check my notes and make sure that I have everything here. Really, the takeaway from this is kind of be aware of what you are exposing yourself to and your kids, and kind of read labels, become educated, understand what's coming into your home, what's being absorbed into your body, and these bottles, like, where's lemon? Lemon is literally cold pressed lemon rinds, and this can be used for cleaning. Frankincense is resin that is distilled. Lavender, again, distilled, just lavender. It's not lavender, and all of these chemicals. our bodies, like what you put into your body is what you get out. And again, it's a process. I get it. I'm not perfect by any means. But, you know, let's walk this together like a community and, you know, keep each other accountable. But at the same time, there's grace involved and there's no judgment. We have a lot of fun. There's some great classes. And it's a great community. So, those people anyone that like commented, on the original like questions that I asked or throughout this video is going to be entered to win, a custom roller bottle blend. And I also have a free shipping on a premium starter kit giveaway as well. So there will be like a little drawing for that, and I will let you know who wins. I'll probably not do that until today's Tuesday, maybe Friday. And then I'll pick for that. So you have some time to comment on here or the post with questions and get entered to win the giveaway. I think that's about it. Sorry, it was a lot of information, a lot of sciencey stuff. Thanks for coming, guys. Again, message me with questions. I hope this helped a little bit. It wasn't too overwhelming. Maybe sort of encouraged you to download the Think Dirty app and the Healthy Living app and scan away and see where your products measure up in terms of their toxic components. So hope you guys have a great night. I will see you all soon, and until then, be well. Bye-bye.